One great life.
Yes.
Let's chat and discuss what it's all about.
Well, how long we got? It's a big one, isn't it? One great life it's so different for all of us, right? I mean, if you asked 10 people on the street, like, when you hear the words one great life, what comes to mind? What does that mean? You'd hear 10 different answers. So it looks and feels very different. But when it comes to one great life, as in, my coaching programs and that experience is actually just, bringing people out into the possibility of they live into their greatest life. Because as far as I know, we've got one chance at this, right? And unfortunately, so many people do not live out their dreams because we know that, fear and all this limiting inner critic, all of that stuff gets in the way of people experiencing their full potential and living out their one great life, which is a shame. And, it's an ever evolving kind of experience, and it's different for everyone.
So when we think about that, so you with all the variety of people that you talk with, there must be quite a range in what defines one great
Absolutely.
life.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
So what is it that's holding people back from living that one great life?
Well, I think we kind of looked at this before, as if you think of four, they've got kind of four boxes, right, on a big screen, and we're looking at a box on the top left, which is someone's potential. So, which is never ending, right? So someone's potential is unlimited, right? And then to tap into potential, we've got to take some action, whatever that is. And in between potential and action is what we call feeling stuck or feeling trapped. Those limiting kind of limiting beliefs, fear that hold people back. They feel stuck and trapped. And so for a lot of people, they don't actually even take action. They want to take action, but they're not. So, and obviously if we take action, we get a result, right? And every time we get a result, whether that's the result that we wanted or expected, it's really important that we keep building momentum and tapping into our fullest potential. And I think for anyone is that we need a support system around us, because it's pretty hard to do it alone.
What's the impact of coaching then? So if someone comes to you and they want a particular life, they don't feel like they're achieving what they want to today, how do you take them on that journey to kind of get to live that life that they want to? Because you're kind of going from I feel stuck, I feel frustrated,
Not everyone though. Not. So when I think about all the people that I work with, they all have ambition. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense to have coaching. And actually, to be honest, Simon, it's not coaching that people want. They don't wake up in the morning thinking, "I need coaching." They're thinking, "I need a solution to this challenge, or I want to go to the next level." And in all honesty, most of my clients, they're doing amazing. Business owners, CEOs, MDs, they all have great potential, or they're living into high potential, but it's maybe one or two things that they want to level up in, whether that's their well-being, their mindset, which obviously they kind of work together, whether that's scaling, growing their business, whatever that is, it's usually one or two things that they really want to level up.
So actually you're talking about, it's about elevating someone. So from wherever they are.
Elevate.
Elevating.
To elevate. Yeah. And so, and it's why not elevate in our life, whether that's, like I say, whether that's in our relationships, whether that's our well-being, our mindset, finances, whatever it is, spiritual life, why not elevate?
And a lot of your work starts with mindset.
Yes.
Is there a reason why you start that?
I knew you were going to ask that. It has to, really. Because when you think about it, everything is mindset. Mindset impacts. I come back to our health and well-being. It impacts our relationships for sure. It impacts everything. It impacts our career. It impacts our happiness and fulfillment. So it's like the base, the scaffolding. And, one question that I kind of ask in a lot of my kind of coaching experiences, what does that mean to you? When you think of mindset, what does that mean? And again, it's like one great life. It's different for everyone. So for me, mindset means how I set my mind each day, or how I choose to set my mind. It's definitely my habits and my values, my belief system, and ultimately how we choose to show up is kind of what I align to mindset.
Do you feel how someone shows up is a choice? Because a lot of people would say, or wouldn't say that's a choice.
Interesting.
That's just how they are.
It's just how they are, yeah.
But how do you get them? Because maybe it's thinking about what you would call growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Is that maybe the transition you take someone on?
Yeah. we're definitely talking about, or we're looking to elevate and expand growth mindset. And so it's a different thinking and feeling. You just said, it's just how it is, or it's just how I am.
Or just sometimes
that's definitely kind of more connected to fixed mindset, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Whereas
so sometimes people just show up to work, they show up to their job, they do the thing, they go home, and that's it. But they sit dreaming, thinking about a different or a better life.
Yes.
But then you have to do the hard yards of making a transition from that.
You got to take action, right? And we could look at it as you've got to take massive action, but some kind of action has to happen to get a new result. And for some people, you know, it could be that they have a fear of success, or they have a fear of failure, or they just have this kind of this limiting story that kind of holds them back. And so, yeah, it's an interesting journey, but mindset, it kind of all has to start with mindset.
And when you're encountering and working with people that have, or maybe you think about a limiting belief, or you can clearly see they're holding themselves back. How would you unblock that? How would you take them on a journey so they can kind of take themselves forward? And so, because you're trying to empower someone, aren't you? You're trying to give them.
Well, they're empowering themselves, right? Okay. But definitely is. I don't even like the word coach. Like, you know, I people will say you're a coach, but it's really just a support system, a support structure for that person or those people to see really what's possible for them in their life. And yeah, it's got to start with awareness. If you think about all of this, Simon, mindset, it's a greater level of awareness. And I think if we become a more aware person, then I feel like we can handle the challenges of our daily life in a better way.
Yeah, and I'd say probably from working with you, it's the power of having someone you can talk it through with.
Yes.
And be asked the right questions, or asked challenging, interesting, good questions for you to think about, who do I want to be? Like, who is this person that I'm trying to become, or, you know, where am I today, and where am I trying to get to?
Yeah.
And it's that introspection, I think, is...
Yeah, absolutely. Is self-discovery, right? It's a journey of self-discovery. It's curiosity, and like, you know, if we're in a kind of coaching discovery session, and there is a lot of questions, because with great questions come great answers, there's so much insight in this journey, but then obviously the transformation goes into the implementation, the action of it. Like, if you take someone like you, right? You're easy to coach. You're so coachable because you'll go and take action. You'll just do the thing. And I always say this: if you do the thing, you'll get the thing. But if you don't do the thing, you're not going to get it. So it's it's a kind of powerful metaphor.
It's a funny thing though. It's the power of saying it out loud, right?
Declaring.
I'm declaring it to you. Well, you asking me a question, I communicate it back to you. Then it's like, oh, I've said it now. I've got to do it.
You've declared it. Yeah.
And it's just almost very simple to that level, which is, oh, I've committed to these things. And also these are the things that I want. Yeah. So it's not like I'm committed to anything. This is the life I want to get to. And I think it really makes a difference having a coach talking it. You're right. Coach isn't the right word, because it's more than that. It's
transformational. It's a life shift, right? It's when you think of the word is definitely for me is transformation.
It could be transformation. It's having someone there for the journey with you, and it's you're playing a role of a number of things. It's a partner, maybe it's a transformation. I don't know.
Collaboration for sure. A partnership. And when I think about the guys that I work with, is I'll hold that bigger vision for them, even if sometimes they drop into doubt or they stop believing, because at some point they're gonna face that kind of stuff, what I call below the line thinking or feeling, and you just gotta keep holding that bigger vision for that person.
We talk about vision, and the first action that we took was a vision board. So
right.
Why do you feel we started there? What's the benefit of that?
I think the vision board is a fun process. It kind of you get really you expand what's that possibility, right? And you're kind of being creative with, what do I really, really, really want? What do I want my life or our life to look like and feel like? And the vision is pulling you towards those things, right? Whether that's again, coming back to your health and well-being, whether that's, if you think about the key areas of our life, is health and well-being, it's relationships, it's kind of our stability, I guess, finances for a lot of people, right? Is creating that abundance of thinking and experiencing, adventure. I mean, I remember when you did your vision board, it was amazing. I was like, wow. But I know you changed it as well, right? It's kind of ever evolving.
I changed it because it became slightly overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I have it here
Simplified
in my studio.
it.
And then it had all these amazing things. And actually what I was thinking about was I just need to focus on one thing right now.
And there's power in that.
It's one of the things that I think about a lot, which is I might have this vision, but one of those visions might be for something in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
And actually I felt like I had greater power when I looked at it and said, there's one thing I'm focused on right now.
Yeah.
And that the one thing was the book. And then
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
Just launching your new book. Yeah. Are you lost in your shit? It's amazing. It's awesome I remember when you called me and said, look, I'm gonna do this by December the 1st.
Yeah, amazingly it was done by December the 1st
well done.
as well.
Incredible.
Yeah. But that was it. So when we started working together 3 or 4 months ago, I was just thinking, right, the one thing I want to focus on at this stage is the book, because I kind of naturally fell into writing the book. It's also a reminder to myself of who I want to be. Like, I think that's the greatest impact from it, was just, this is the person I'm trying to be. You know, it's focused on health, it's focused on well-being, meditation, and, you know, all these different things that I've learned over the last couple of decades. But it's also a Bible to myself when I get lost in my shit, which is regularly. These are the kind of like my philosophies to myself and to anyone else who wants to read it about how to get my life back together, get my shit back together.
And I love what you just said. I think that's really authentic. Is, you know, you've done a lot of personal growth work over the years. You've experienced a lot of success, and you're an action taker, right? But you still get lost in your shit. And it doesn't matter how much coaching you have or how much spiritual work, you're still going to get lost in your shit at times.
I think it's natural. I
think
it's
part of the process.
I think it's completely part of the process. And that's what I've learned the most, is that I don't think anyone's ever got it really together. No one has. No one's got all their shit together.
Right.
And you're constantly, like, for example, you can go on, let's say you do a month without alcohol, you do 2 or 3 months really eating clean, you're training well in the gym.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a point where that doesn't happen.
That's right.
And you
drop below, what I call, you drop below the line at times, right?
Yeah, you drop below that standard.
Yeah.
Because no one's perfect.
Yeah.
Everyone falls off it. Even if you're an amazing athlete, there'll be times in your off season where you're not training because you can't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
And it's just about, I'm saying you're teaching me really well. It's just about how quickly you rebound.
I love that. Yeah. It is the rebound. You're right. Exactly.
Your response to it.
Yeah, for sure.
How long will you allow it to go on for?
Yeah.
Lean into that moment. Almost take I'm not even looking at it as being off now. I'm looking at it as it's my rest period.
Right.
Christmas is my rest.
It's like a recharge, reset.
That's it. And that's what you taught me as well. It's about, right, let's recharge, and then we go again.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's so much power in this. Comes back to what I was saying around self-awareness, Simon. Like, if we become more self-aware of how we're showing up and how it's landing internally for us and how we're landing for other people, then we can rebound quicker. And I think for me, like, you know, I've done a lot of my own personal growth work over the years, and I still get lost in my shit, and I still drop below the line and come out of integrity at times. But one thing I am sure of, I do rebound quicker. So the rebound is far quicker, and that is definitely has been transformational for me. And a big part of that is actually my yoga journey, because yoga is a journey of self-awareness, self-realization, and you know, I'm not just talking about physical yoga. I'm talking about yoga philosophy. I'm talking about self-inquiry, meditation, breath work. All of that has had a huge impact on my life, for sure, in a positive way. So
when you find that you go off track or you get lost in your shit, and your response to that is better, stronger now, what do you then go back to? What are your grounding things? You mentioned yoga there.
The basics.
The breath work,
the basics.
How do you get back? How do you bring it back together?
Well, movement is one thing. Gets me out of my head pretty quickly. So, you know, we all get caught in our head. If we get lost in our shit, we're in our head, So
that's it. That's the point,
Yeah, so get back into my body. Like, really start feeding my body again and come out of my head. And one of the best things for me is yoga. You know, I've obviously got a sport background as well, because tennis still is a big part of my life. But, you know, tennis was a huge part of my career as well. And just either doing that, if I go and play tennis or get on my yoga mat, I'm I'm better again. I've rebounded,
Yeah.
because I've come out of my head.
Yeah, it's something about connecting back from movement into flow.
Flow, yeah,
Isn't it?
for
Because
sure.
I think when you're playing tennis, you can't be doing anything else other than playing tennis. The ball's coming.
You're kind of in the moment.
You've got to be there. Because I play a bit of squash.
Yeah.
And racquetball. When the ball's coming, you can't be anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to be...
Or you do, right? You do. Even professional players, they go off and they lose it for a moment or a game or a set, but they come back. And so that's coming back to what we first said about mindset. This is all mindset.
Are you lost in your shit? I know I have been throughout my life, and I have found ways to get myself less lost in my shit. I started writing this down, and it turned into a book. I shared it with friends and family, and they said, you need to turn this into a book. So this has become a personal guide, a memo to myself to help me get out of my inner struggles and become a better version of me. And this might help you. So I wrote it all down, and it covers the mind, the body, covers your money and investments, and it covers your soul. Unlocking what it is that you want from this one great life that you have, and your escape. How do you get to that life? It's all included in here. It's available from Amazon. Enjoy. I've got an interesting few questions based on your podcast. I'm a big fan of your podcast. I listen regularly.
Thanks.
And so one of the things here, because I know you coach a lot of people, you work with a lot of people that are sort of different age groups and those sorts of things. But predominantly, where would you say the people are?
Predominantly is business owners. It's just naturally because I've had my own business journey. And so it's kind of organically happened like that over the last couple of years. I work with lots of business owners. Well, I say business owners, and they'll know what I'm talking about here, because there's so many business owners doing great stuff, and their teams are doing great, but the business owner isn't actually a business owner; they're a business operator,
right? Okay.
Because they're getting lost and consumed in the day-to-day stuff, and so a lot of the work that we do is the mindset work around becoming a business owner, which means you can take Friday off and go and play golf, or you can go away for a couple of weeks and not have to worry about the business, just trust in it's okay. And so, you know, that's an amazing transformation for business owners, because they experience greater freedom then.
Let's dig into that a second, because I think it's interesting. So I'd imagine in that situation, especially if you've been a business operator, you're in the business, you're in the detail of things.
You're the visionary and you're in it.
You're the visionary, so you're working strategically and tactically at the same time.
Yeah.
You're in the detail of something. So how do you get someone to almost let go?
Well, that's
take
it.
that step back, because I can imagine
It's
that can
tough.
be challenging.
It's really challenging, yeah, because I mean, I've experienced it myself. You kind of, you know, it's my thing. I founded this, I built this, but building a team, and I said, like, you know, that trusting, leadership, all of that, and allowing others to kind of mess up as well, not too many times, but that's the only way, you know, leaving people in their own greatness is then allowing the business owner to step back and actually become a true business owner, where they feel like they've got greater balance, greater fulfillment. And that's not easy, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. So one of the podcasts that you created was about midlife, and I love this title, and I'd love to dig into kind of what it meant within that podcast. Was midlife crisis or midlife awakening? Yeah. So talk me through kind of that approach.
Yeah, I love that podcast. So yeah, because there's a kind of stigma to that, right? As we get to this certain stage of our life and this phase of life where it's a kind of midlife shit. I'm lost in my shit.
Yeah.
What's this all about? Actually, who am I about? What do I want? What do we want? And I feel like, you know, that it doesn't have to be a crisis. It can be, if you look at it differently, and again, it comes back to mindset, is looking at it with a different lens, is this could be a new path and an awakening of my one great life. It doesn't have to be a crisis, right? I laugh a lot because I've got quite a few tattoos, and my wife says that's your midlife crisis, right? is having all these tattoos. Or someone goes and buys a Porsche 911. It's all great, by the way. It's all awesome, but you know, awakening is, again, coming back to that self-awareness, that self-realization that I'm not trying to control this, but I'm in control. It doesn't have to be a crisis or a breakdown.
And do you from the men that you work with, that 40s to 50s,
typically
range,
that age range,
which I fall into.
Yeah.
What do you think's going on with men of that age? Like, for us to kind of, for there to be, and that's why this resonated with me a little bit, because I was thinking, you know, there is a bit of a there is a shift in your mind that's going on, and I think it's,
sure,
you know, it's got to be something around, I don't know, what's it around? It's around impermanence almost. The fact that you're getting older, you know.
Absolutely.
Actually, funny enough, I was listening to Robbie Williams the other day talking about something, and he was looking back and he said, well, I spent 20 years creating chaos, and now he's like, now I'm spending the rest of my life thinking about the chaos I created.
You're right.
And trying to undo it.
Trying
to understand what happened.
Yeah.
And then almost to some degree, it's like the last 20 years I'm thinking about a lot at the moment, and going, well, what does all of that mean? Where did we get to? Did we get to where we wanted to? Did we completely lose our shit on the journey?
Yeah.
Like, is this a crisis, or actually is this what we've always worked towards?
Well, it's a good point. I love this kind of conversation of, look, we are where we are, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, the moment is the moment. We can't. It is how it, I don't want to say it is how it is, because that can kind of be more fixed mindset. But I don't know. We just talked about Robbie Williams trying to understand that, right? And yeah, but it's gone. It's the past. But there's so much learning from that, right? Yeah. It's like, I think a lot of the work we do and the journey we're in is from here, like meet us where we are now, and what's it all about for the rest of our life, right? And you're right, you talked about impermanence, right? With, what are you, 40?
43.
43.
Just about turned 44.
Just about 44. I was 50 back in September. And I kind of think, how has that happened? Like, really, how has that happened? But there's been a lot of life experience. But yeah, it must be, you know, there's this kind of phase of life where we know it's not forever. What's it all about? What meaning? So a deeper meaning and greater fulfillment and freedom is a big one. I see a lot is the pattern of wanting to experience more of that. Yeah, because isn't that the ultimate when you think about freedom and fulfillment?
Yeah, I think meaning and purpose, they're kind of, and freedom, absolutely. I think that they're the biggest things at this point, where you just, you know, I certainly think early in the career it was about becoming, achievement, money, success, ambition.
Yeah. That self-orientation. Like, you're a 10 out of 10 for self-orientation. That's which means you got, like, you have this ambition, you want to get the results for your team, for your business. You've got a high standard of yourself. You know, someone that goes to the gym, 5 times a week?
4 or 5 times, yeah.
4 times a week, right? Yeah. Meditates every day. You got high standards. And it's tough to kind of keep that commitment and consistency, but so there's a lot of ambition, which is great, right? And all my coaching clients have ambition. Otherwise it would be a bit silly going on the journey of transformation. But if it's just ambition, I don't think that's too healthy. But if there's ambition and contentment, and actually, okay, it's okay right now, I'm going there, but I'm okay with this, how it is right now. So there's a sense of deeper gratitude there, right?
I think it comes from, you know, I didn't just arrive here. So
of course not.
You know, so it comes through
absolutely
a lot of being lost, and a lot of, you know, being lost in my shit. That's the whole point of the book. But the gym thing's kind of always been there, because you know, that's something. But I tell you what's the biggest change is probably mindfulness. Probably 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't understand meditation, mindfulness, journaling, walking, basic, but wow, the impact of having those things, the clarity in your mind. And then it comes back to words we talk about all the time, which is presence.
Yeah. You
know, and I think that's where you get, you know, I'm going to talk to you about fulfillment as well in a second, but it's that then you get to a point of real appreciation for your life.
Right. And that's a big one, right? Appreciate. I think isn't that the ultimate, like, having appreciation for what we have and what's showing up now, even though sometimes it can be really challenging, right? Life is challenging, but actually appreciating rather than expecting. I remember, I never forget, I spent an awful lot of investment and I loved it with Tony Robbins. I used to go to a lot of his events and did his kind of university, traveled around the world, business events, personal growth events, mind-blowing, incredible. And there's one thing, and we spent thousands of pounds on that journey, which was every dollar, every penny was worth it. It was one thing that really stood out for me. He stood out on the stage one day and he said, if you choose to shift your mindset, your awareness from expectation to appreciation, your life changes dramatically, instantly. And I'll never forget that. And I was like, and it's so simple, right? It's common sense. But is it common practice for a lot of people? And it really caught me off guard. I was like, wow, actually, yeah. Where I'm expecting a lot, there's also a lot of disappointment. So why not explore more appreciation? And that was a game changer for sure.
I think that's very profound, deeply profound,
yeah,
and interesting. And because here's the thing, when I almost come back to one of the things I said at the very beginning, until you start doing the work, you don't know necessarily that you have this expectation on other people.
Of course.
Like I didn't know before I started doing self-development.
How would you? Yeah, you're just in it.
You're just in it. You just think, this is how I think. And
yeah.
I have these expectations of
yeah.
X person. It's only since I've been trying to do more self-development work, and I've also now, certainly in the last few years, become more present to kind of be aware of other people.
Right.
Which is where someone else has got high expectation, like a business leader.
Yeah.
They've got high expectations of other people, but they're always disappointed.
Yeah.
And that comes out constantly.
Yeah.
Is that they're always disappointed. We always underperform.
Or is it focusing on what's not working? I mean, I've been there as a business owner for sure.
And that happens. It
yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
And I think since I've taken my role in leadership, and I just always looked at that and just thought, now I've done the work and I can observe it. It's really about, that's not how to be. The way to be is just to be deeply appreciative of your team, because they can leave at any time. They can go anywhere else in their career or whatever. Well, anything that happens, just appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think extraordinary individuals,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
only so many of them get acknowledged or appreciated when they're out of sight. And so it's kind of too late. So actually appreciating and acknowledging is it's huge. It's a game changer, right, on so many levels.
The interesting thing is about that, it also sets yourself free in some respects,
right,
from like an internal critic, internal negativity of they always disappoint me, because it brings you down. That's the funny thing. It's kind of like self-fulfilling to yourself.
Yep.
When you have this expectation.
Yeah, and we've all been there, Simon, right?
Of course, yeah.
Because when you start your business journey as an entrepreneur, you're not really, especially if you haven't done the work, the personal growth work, is you just get caught in that. You kind of learn from the mistakes, and I've definitely been there lots of times, and yeah, I still catch myself where actually no, slow down, stop, appreciate this moment, appreciate that person or them or myself, right? Because the disappointments seems to kind of shrink.
I think the one you've just mentioned there, appreciate yourself.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Sometimes that's the last person we go.
It might be the hardest one as well.
Yeah.
Just being appreciative of what you've put in a shift, put in some effort.
Exactly.
Well, why do you think a lot of people struggle with that, probably the most, more than anything else, giving yourself
that kind of self-care of self first?
Yeah.
Well, we've talked, you've mentioned a few times the word leadership, and leadership starts with self, right? If we think about leadership, it has to start with me, you, self, and expand out. And so, but yeah, it's a tough one to kind of, self-care. And again, it comes back to self-awareness, doesn't it? Of actually, I'm doing all right. This is cool. I'm doing great. Like, think about the journey you're on right now. You're doing the work, and it's really important that you actually appreciate that, which I know you do, right? And I'm sure sometimes you forget.
Oh God, constantly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And so,
life gets busy.
Life gets in the way. Well, life doesn't get in the way. We tend to get in the way.
Yeah, I think the funny thing. I mean, I probably messaged you a few months ago. I can't remember now, and it's the more you do around self-development, the more you realise you're in your own way. Like, you are your own blocker most of the time.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's the value of having someone to share that with quite openly, honestly, in a vulnerable way.
Yeah.
But you can't. But then you have that self-realization yourself. You're like, I'm my own blocker here. There's nothing actually stopping anything.
Getting in the way.
Yeah.
My thinking, how I'm being, right, gets in the way a lot. And so there's so much freedom when we actually access that. You know, it's a powerful process.
We should talk about freedom, because again, so just finding fulfillment, embracing the present, and finding freedom within. That was a great podcast as well.
Finding, yeah.
What were the learnings from there?
I think, you know, when a question that I would ask someone right at the beginning of a coaching journey, I'm sure I asked you this as well, is what do you really, really, really want? What is it? And so we start unpicking that. And actually what I see and feel a lot is we're looking at someone wants, what they really want is freedom, fulfillment, peace, right? And again, I mean, I could go and play golf and experience peace. I could go for a walk in the park, in the forest, and experience freedom. So it's not like we have to go somewhere and find it. It's like it's there every single day. We can tap into freedom and fulfillment, right? We just talked about appreciation. Appreciation surely it taps us more into fulfillment, right? But yeah, we all experience freedom in different ways. But ultimately, as a human experience, I think that's the ultimate experience: freedom, fulfillment, and meaning. I don't mean what's the meaning of my life. I'm talking about there's a lot of meaning in this conversation right now, yeah. Kind of, what's the meaning of my day? What's the purpose of this moment? What's the purpose of my day, rather than talking about the big kind of life purpose? Because coaching is not just all about that. It's about who are you being and what impact can you have today on someone's life or your life.
It's like how are you showing up?
How you're showing up, yeah. It's a big one, huh? I personally feel that who you're being is more important than what you're doing.
I love that.
Do you kind of agree, or
Yeah.
if you think about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who you're being in that moment.
Who you're being.
Is more important than. Yeah, absolutely. It's more important than what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
Who you are. Yeah, how
But
you're showing up.
Exactly. And there seems to be a big focus on do, get things done, which is great as part of our life experience. But what about slowing down and going, actually, who am I being right now in this moment?
Because I think I've had 20 years in a sales career, and that sales career is all about deliver the number.
Yeah.
That's it. It's growth.
And you've done great at it.
I'm fortunate to have, but you put in the time and the effort and in the significant hours. But the funny thing is, even in the years of we've done well, or we've hit targets, we've done these things. The things that you've just discussed in terms of playing golf, going for the walk, being in the woods. For me, 6 a.m. meditation or whatever time it is I get up. They're the best moments. They're the most profound moments.
Nice.
But it's taken a long time to get there.
Yeah.
Like it's taken 20 years of self-development to even understand and appreciate that.
Right.
Whereas you spend so much time just chasing the deal, chasing.
Well, you got ambition, you drive, and
But that relentlessness of trying to achieve all the time isn't happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an interesting, because what you're talking about is being content in the moment.
Finding that balance, right? Between having ambition, it's great.
Yeah.
Ambition is growth, right? It's and growth, there's happiness as well. Progress, there's happiness, but what's the point of just getting results but not feeling happy about it?
Well, I think that's a journey someone goes on to develop, to understand.
I agree, absolutely.
Because I know people in this career who have made significant amounts of money through a company exit or a big commission check.
Yeah.
Thinking that's going to fix everything. I was there for a long, long time in my mindset, which is when we get this, how great will life be?
Yeah.
But it's only when
the outcome goal, the outcome.
And that's I think a lot of society I certainly was there for a long time, which is when I get this thing, when we get the number, when that happens and I've achieved the success,
Life is great and I'm fulfilled.
happiness.
Happiness.
But it's probably the biggest lie.
Defy the lie. I agree. It's society, right? It's kind of, it's been designed and set up that way. But I think comes back to a lot of personal growth work, is realizing that actually that's external. It's all great, and there is excitement in that. But surely it's the process, the journey towards the experience is where we learn and grow, and that's the fun bit, right? But so many people, if I think about so many people that I've worked with over the years, including myself, is that drive, that hunger to get that result, but burning out or destroying their health or relationships just to get that thing. That's not success, surely, right?
It can't be.
No,
it can't be.
Yeah,
I think this will be this. I'm hoping at this stage in life, this will go down as a point where success is redefined.
Yeah,
I see that a lot on
that.
social media at the moment, where success is beginning to be redefined, where people say, well, health is wealth.
Yeah.
It's not, or it's about being mindful, being present. That's actually the best art, the goal.
Having or feeling goals. How do I feel? How do I want to feel today? Or how do I want to make that person or those people feel, rather than we just got to do this. We just got to get this done. And it doesn't matter what we feel like. We can feel like shit. We can burn each other out, but that's not sustainable, and it's not holistic, and it's not the best way. It doesn't seem to be anyway.
In the business world, where I know you work with a lot of high-profile clients, how does that resonate or land with them? Because if I think about where I work today, growth is the only thing that's understood. It's growth at all costs, growth at the number, growth at this. I often think about the journey to get to that level of growth. It's actually not about that. It's actually about coming back to something really basic. With my sales team, it's about really appreciating the work they've done. Like really,
nice.
Thinking about the process. Acknowledging the customer we need to communicate with, making sure we're delivering success for them. It's actually, the number and growth is so far removed from the actual day-to-day, the way you communicate.
Yeah. Great.
There has to be a North Star.
Yeah, for sure.
Because people need a direction
and clarity. Yeah.
But
but that's outcome goal, right? And so, it's easy to set goals. Like, a lot of people think that coaching is about setting goals. Anyone can set a goal and anyone can set a target. Yeah. But in regards to how do I want to feel, who do I want to be, or who am I becoming towards that? So the whole process and the journey is the big focus, because it's, like I say, it's kind of easy. And actually, a lot of people don't achieve their goals because we come back to, they get blocked, they get stuck, they stop believing, they go back into their kind of limiting story stuff, right? So, the whole thing is an interesting journey, but ultimately, there's a lot of people out there that are striving and driving to that result, but they're burning themselves out. They're not looking after their health and well-being. They're not looking after their relationships, and there's a certain impact to that.
You mentioned burnout.
Yeah.
I know you work with people and try and support them through that journey. What does burnout look like?
Yeah.
How does it feel? How does it show up? How does it manifest?
In so many different ways. Yeah. I'm not a burnout coach. I wouldn't like to call myself a burnout coach. I've worked with people with burnout, or heading towards it, or they're in it, or they don't even know they're in it. But they're just feeling, how does it show up? Exhaustion, emotional fatigue. I think a lot of exhaustion is emotional fatigue, not just physical fatigue. Disconnected. Anxiety, right, is a big one for people. We've all experienced and would experience at times. Depression, physical meltdown, physical burnout. It shows up in so many different ways. Illness. There are so many different ways how burnout can play out. But it's interesting, actually. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were saying that they look at burnout, they'll wait for people to get to burnout to then get support. What's the point of that? Like, why not actually create a kind of environment where we put away from burnout, we don't get there. So we set the environment up, the habits, the support system structure, so people aren't landing in burnout.
Is it part of people wanting to achieve success? They set the goals so high, and then they almost have a personal. Because it's great to hold yourself accountable to something, but is this almost going too far? This
over
is
the edge,
the only thing that matters, and I will achieve no matter what. And then there's on the journey, because the journey's hard, whichever direction you take it in. You know, life is hard, period. So, but whatever
Exactly.
journey you're on,
Yeah.
and then it's somewhere you're falling short because of that somewhere, or somehow you get.
I think everyone is so different on this journey, Simon. Like, it just really depends. But there's so many ways that it can play out. But I think this comes back to self-awareness, right? If someone is more self-aware, they're aware that they're starting to move towards it. They get a sense that, hang on, this doesn't feel right. Why am I? Where's my buzz, or where's my vibrancy here? For a lot of people, it's setting healthier boundaries, right? People need to set healthier, or say no more, be a little bit more courageous and say no. So they're saying yes for the thing that's going to stop them experiencing burnout. You know, I think I've been there for sure, burnout. Not to the point it's completely collapsed. I mean, I've been on my knees, but I know I've experienced burnout maybe a few times.
Yeah, I've been there. But it actually, I think for me, I don't know if it showed up as burnout. It certainly showed up as low mood, depression, frustration, but completely overreacting to things. Yeah. Overreacting to things that aren't that important.
Right.
You know, so an email from the boss. Yeah. Not that important. Okay. But your response
the grand
to
scheme
that
of
can
things.
be. Yeah. So I think.
Getting triggered a lot, right? Certain things.
You get triggered, so I think it's interesting, because I think the power of, if you bring what I've learned over these years, bringing yourself back to some basic self-care habits of meditation and journaling, being some key ones. Yeah, you can almost catch yourself.
Yeah, you said something great the other day, because you were on the Elevate call, right? And you said something that actually I think all the guys were really appreciative of. Okay. Was around, you were sharing about your journaling journey and how that's had a real positive impact on you. And sometimes where is that right? Where you'll have a certain thoughts, but when you start writing it down and getting it out of your head, it lands different. It shows up differently.
Oh God, yeah. I mentioned this in the book because I think it's an important point. So this is actually my next interview is a guy called Dom, who's a CEO of a business and very experienced, into training, all those sorts of things. And he said the biggest takeaway he had was the journaling piece, because he just thought before, it's a bit woo-woo, why does this matter? And that's one of the biggest things I've learned from it. So I found that there are 3 personalities, right? So one was, in my mind, there's a critic in my mind, which is, self-critical, risk. It's always thinking about a negative thing. It's very, very, very rarely. I think 60% of thoughts are negative or something like that. Something like that. So it's always negative. So there's a personality in my mind. There's a personality in when I write down, when I write something down, I'm calm, considered, pragmatic. Yeah. That is not self-critical ever. It's just I'm writing out a plan. How do I feel? Just getting
more
out.
Neutral.
Very neutral. Yeah. Pragmatic is the word I'd say. And it actually will put together a little plan of, okay, well, this week I'm going to do this, or today I'm going to do this. I'm very intentional. And then the last personality is my spoken personality, which never says anything about who this pragmatic person is or the person is in my mind. Yeah. The person I'm talking is almost got if I'm thinking about if I'm with my family or if I'm with people at work, more people pleasing, but more like happy, want to be, positive. How's everyone's day going? Is everyone feeling
glass
good?
half full kind of
Always.
guy?
Yeah. So we're in trying to be as a positive, very much suppressing what's going on in here. Yes. Or any concerns. If someone says, "How are you?" I'm great. I'm good. How are you doing? You've had a good week. That's that personality. So there's 3 personalities that are going on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that's what journaling helped me with, because I noticed when I wrote everything down, the things I wrote down were not the things going on naturally in your mind.
Yeah.
Which
Wow.
also then led me to quite a big revelation, which was when I meditate every day, or when I meditate, it calms everything. So those thoughts aren't there anymore. And if you tie that into what you were saying, movement, if I go for a walk, that freshens everything up again. If I
You're
go
embodied. Yeah, you're not caught up in the story, in the narrative of up here, right?
Yeah.
It's a really powerful insight. I think it'd be great to talk about meditation, because I know you meditate a lot every day. I do, whether that's even 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but it's just part of my daily routine, and I know it is of yours and perhaps lots of your listeners. But one thing that has really had an impact on that, on me getting better at me, or getting better at life, is definitely meditation. Because I think meditation is a way to just observe and become neutral and watch and be the witness of what's happening, rather than getting triggered. And I still get triggered for sure. My wife will tell you that, right? But not as much, or rebound quicker, but definitely way more almost like separating thinker from the thinking.
Yeah, great.
So I can observe more, and I think that's a powerful place to come from.
Yeah, it's really funny actually where you're sharing that. I can't remember how many, I'm going to say 10 years ago, I remember being at a conference, and there was this panel of experts being interviewed, and they were asked the same question, which was, what's the biggest impact? What's the biggest thing that's impacted your life in the last X years?
Yeah.
And they all said the same thing. They all went, meditation.
Oh, really?
The next person said meditation.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, what a load of rubbish. I just thought, 10 years ago, I was so dismissive.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all a bit woo-woo, it's all a bit this, I was like, what a load of rubbish, that can't. But now, here we are, having a conversation about the benefits of meditation.
Yeah.
I think that's, if I could go back and tell, this part what the book was about, go and tell myself 20 years ago that actually your best, most peaceful moments will be completely without chasing anything, without chasing the number, without chasing money, without chasing a woman, without chasing the car. It doesn't matter about those things.
Yeah.
Just being alone in a darkened room is actually one of the most profound moments you're ever going to have.
Yeah. In that stillness, right? In that slowing down and
just
pausing.
Literally just being.
Back to self. Yeah, it's really challenging. And now I think a lot of people think like how you were thinking, right? I certainly did at the beginning. It was, well, I can't meditate. How am I going to stop my mind from thinking? Or they start meditating and they kind of get this thought process of, I thought I was meant to be blissed out or calm, but I've been distracted and I've got lots of thoughts going on. But for me, what really helped was hearing that you're not meditating to get better at meditation. You're meditating to get better at your life. And then I was like, oh, wow, that's a different metaphor. That's a different meaning. So I'll still show up. It doesn't matter. A good meditation for me is that I just showed up. Not, I got 2 minutes of peace.
Oh, no, it's exactly that.
Right.
It's just about showing up.
Showing up. Yeah.
So if someone's just hearing about meditation for the first time, right?
Scary, yeah.
I know it took me a little bit of time to get into it. So what would you say is the best kind of approach to start?
I think it's different for everyone. You can, we talked about going for a walk you can experience meditation going for a nice walk in the park, in the forest, or being in a conversation. Like this can be a meditation experience, Simon, right? Because we're present and mindful. I think just breath work is great, starting with breath, just starting to maybe realize, just observe, inhale, exhale, maybe counting breath. One thing that I love and I still practice is what I call the release meditation. So just sitting, whether that's cross-legged or sitting on a chair, sitting at the end of the bed, getting comfortable and just starting to hear the word release, or you could say relax. Release is what I love that as a mantra. And you're going to just start being aware and focusing on, because meditation is concentration, or concentration leads to meditation, right? So the practice is concentration, but then you're left with meditation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So concentrating on something, so a release, say a mantra, and just repeating that over and over again, because sometimes it won't be there, because you'll get caught up in your mind and get distracted. And then every time you come back, okay, start again, release, or relax, whatever that is. It's just a great great start.
It sounds like you do this. Yours is you don't meditate in a guided way, or do you?
All sorts.
All sorts.
I love. Yeah. I love all sorts of meditations. I do like mantra meditations. I do a lot of breath work. I love listening to and being guided. Like Joe Dispenza's meditations are amazing. If anyone wants to kind of explore, he's got incredible meditations. But there's so many. Like, think about all the apps. You got Headspace.
Yeah.
Not a massive fan, but it's definitely a great starting point. I think there's One Great Life I really like. So there's so many different access points to meditation.
Yeah, I personally, so Aura is the app that I use.
Yeah.
The reason I like it, and I never started here. I started with YouTube and Spotify. There were different ones.
Yeah.
But I found after a period of time that I find I've had a great meditation when I go on a bit of a journey.
Nice.
And that's what I
So
like.
you're more visualization?
Far more visual.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it might, so that might be a manifestation.
Yep.
Or it might be just a visualization and that of a thing. It could just be think about your day. I really like the ones that thinks about your life in say 5 years or 10 years time.
Yeah.
And because that's about becoming.
Yeah.
And you're visualizing who you're going to become, where you're going. And it talks of, what's your health look like in 10 years time or 5 years time? What does your family look like? What does your house look like? What does your daily life look like?
Yeah.
And
so I'm hearing clarity right there. Yeah. I'm hearing excitement, possibility.
Yeah, well, it's all of that excitement, possibility, and I think then you take that into your day. That's why I do it first thing, because it sets an intention about the rest of your day. So if you've now gone, right, in 10 years' time, I want my life to look and feel like this. Today, you're only ever present in this moment, right? So today, what's the tiny things I can do to take my life a bit closer to that?
Love it, yeah.
And I think that's the thing about meditation is it sets an intention.
Yes. Well, you're being more intentional, right?
Yeah, you're being more intentional because you're clearing everything.
Yeah.
So, because sometimes people say, well, you're supposed to just clear your mind. You're not supposed to clear your mind. I actually believe you're supposed to think on a thing or a few things, and actually it's about guiding your mind about the thing you want to think about. And here's the great bit about what you want to feel.
Yeah, I love that.
So I know when I was going through a difficult time and I was really struggling, before I learnt meditation, I was struggling with depression and really, really kind of in my head, lost in my own shit, as the book says. But then when I started to learn about meditation, this is one of the big things that helped me get out of that depression. It was you can use meditation to choose how you want to feel for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And then it compounds based on journaling, based on walking, weightlifting, etc.
Right.
Movement, self-care.
Yeah, exactly. You start to do the thing. Do the things that get you the thing where you want to be and where you're going, right? Something you said there was really interesting is around meditation. I think there's a lot of perception around it. Okay, it's about stopping your mind from thinking, but good luck with that, because we have 95,000 thoughts a day. 95% of those are the same thoughts as we had yesterday. So I really do feel that and believe that meditation is a way to start thinking differently. Still going to have thoughts. You're still going to have lots of thoughts, right? But thinking in a way that empowers you and lifts you up and gets you excited rather than disempowers you.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges that I see and hear talking to people, which is, friends, family, how you doing, how you getting on. And, when you get past the surface level conversation,
transactional, and
you kind of get into a conversation of how are you really, most of them are lost in their own shit. That's kind of what I feel most people are. And most of that is like, you're in your own head, there's an inner critic, you're not good enough, I don't feel enough, I don't feel this. And this is the great thing about meditation and these sort of mindfulness practices, is it can release you from yourself. I noticed when I did a course years ago, which was the thing that really transformed me into being able to meditate and become more mindful and things. And I was like, this is the first time in my life I like being me. Yeah. Like, this is the first.
Kind of, hang on, I like this guy.
Yeah, it's the first time I'm not berating myself. Or I'm not, and actually the first time I'm like, this actually.
Or numbing yourself out, right?
Numbing yourself is, drugs, alcohol.
Right.
And you just think, right, I need a substance to make myself feel better. Which, gosh, I was there for a long time.
Yeah.
But actually, to be able to do that naturally, God, I wish I could have told myself that 20 years ago.
But the great thing is, but a lot of that journey that you've gone through and I've gone through and so many go through, right, is it's part of the process to get you where you are now. You know, there's so much learning and appreciation of that. Why not just be appreciative? I'm sure you are, right? Because it's got you to where you are.
Of course, you've got to appreciate the past.
Exactly.
But you get to a stage where you're kind of looking at the future and thinking hopeful and becoming hopeful.
Yeah.
Which is actually, the future has loads of gifts that we don't know about yet, but you have to be in control of those.
Yeah, and I know that for you, Simon, life, you talk about life by design or life on your terms, right, is really important to you. I think that's amazing. I think that's really powerful because that's a lot of you're in control and you're creating rather than managing your life. You know, in reality, so many are managing their life, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying it's a different experience to designing your life, living life on your terms, which I think is a great, you know, it's a lot about your book, right? You lost in your shit. And actually just acknowledging that is a great starting place to then going, right, actually, how do I want my life to be now? Who do I want to be? It's it's a pretty, like I said, we could talk for 10 hours on this.
We certainly could. We could. Well, talk to me about the future. So, you know, you're working with a lot of clients today. Different business ventures.
Yep.
Like, where's the future heading for you?
It's a great question, and there's a lot of possibility, a lot of opportunity, and something you said earlier is focusing on the one thing is, I think for me, is also a real stake in the ground. Let's not focus on too much because I know I can go there. But if I look at my career, my coaching business, my career, as you know, has kind of changed. I've evolved over the years. So my career started out as tennis. You know, I was playing tennis a lot. That's what I did in my junior days, and was coaching tennis for many years, which was amazing, great experience. And then I kind of went into yoga and built an amazing yoga business and community. And now I've been coaching now for like last 5-6 years. And for me, what does the future look like? Is I get to work with some amazing people, and you know, and they have amazing businesses. And so looking at Elevate as a kind of mastery experience for business owners that really want to have a support system and support structure and have that kind of mastermind experience. So the whole thing everyone can be elevated. So I'm really looking to kind of expand that and elevate. And look, online, you know, I do a lot of online work, but actually building out, I love building communities. This is what we did with the House Yoga, but so building out an online global community of people that really want to make a shift in their life. They want to experience greater transformation. One great life, right? That comes back to that. There's lots of opportunities, but right now I'm loving doing the work I'm doing. It's great. I love experiencing the transformation in people. It's a beautiful thing. And there's a lot of fulfillment. It's a lot of contribution.
What would you say you're most hopeful for the future?
In my career, or just in...
However you wish to answer. What does hope look like?
Do you know what? It's really interesting you say that, because I spoke to someone yesterday and I shared with them that I don't kind of like the word hope. And just it feels like I like faith. I've even got faith tattooed on my neck, right? I kind of feel like there's a different kind of energy and vibrancy to the two words.
So do you feel like more faith is belief, or is it
like trust? Define? There's a trust, and there's a kind of knowing, okay, I want this, we're going there, but not holding on to it, like just can let go of the outcome and enjoy the process, like we talked earlier, right? And having that kind of faith that everything's going to be okay. Even though life is really challenging, everything's going to be okay. Yeah. Whereas hopes, I kind of feel like there's this clinging onto, and there's this less possibility in hope. I don't know. That's just my perception, right? Is a different kind of vibrancy, but just trusting that everything's going to be awesome. There's going to be some bumpy, bumps along the road for sure, and there has been. And this year's been a really challenging, interesting year. But I feel like there's so much growth and transformation in challenge. So I'm up for challenge. I'm up for greater contribution, but I'm also up for enjoying the moment as much as possible. Yeah. But great question, you know.
But you talk about presence all the time. That's all we have.
Yeah, I was in Bristol yesterday with some clients, and we we kind of had a deep conversation at the end of the day. We had a big day of coaching and exploring and discovery, and we were talking about this. I think we were talking about the Power of Now book, Eckhart Tolle. And
I love that book.
Amazing.
Years ago, yeah.
And I said, look, we were talking about we're going into 2025 in a couple of weeks. Can you believe we're actually, because 2025 just seemed like another lifetime, didn't it? Not that long ago. And we're going into it. And I said, but in reality, it's not 2000. It's a bit of a deep kind of thing to say, but I said, it's not 2025. It's just the moment. We've kind of just constructed it, right? It's just another day and another moment. And then one of the guys said, but what about we're talking about the future here, coaching. We're talking about creating one great life in your future. And I was like, yeah, it's great. Future's coming. But it would always be the moment, if that makes sense.
It does.
So if we think about what do you want in 3 months' time, it's great moving and having excitement for that. But when that comes, it's just the now. It's just the moment. So yeah, I've kind of gone off on a bit of a tangent. I think presence, you talked about presence, right, is we do only have this moment. This is it. So I think that comes back to one great life is this is it. It's happening now, and enjoy it.
And I think it comes back to the point of just enjoying the process, right? Because none of us know the future or what's going to happen or where we're going. Truly, we can have direction.
Yeah.
But I think about this a lot, which is about just simply. It's very social media at the moment, which is just be present and enjoy the moment. But in some respects, it's about enjoying the process of going somewhere, being on a journey.
Absolutely. That's what, this discussion is about. Surely, coaching is about the journey and growing and creating and making things happen. Like, you're an action taker. I know you're making things happen. You've just launched a book, right? You're going to do 100 podcasts, right?
Great.
We're number 1 right now. I know you've been doing podcasts in the past, but you're going to do amazing things this year. So because you've got ambition. But if you can enjoy the moment as well and enjoy the process, it's even better.
I think that's the biggest thing, because when I started this podcast 3 years ago, I was thinking about the outcome, where we're going to get to, what's it's going to mean, all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why maybe I hit burnout or depression or whatever it was is also, a bigger thing in my life. And why is it totally different this time? It's completely different for me this time. Maybe not from the external world, but it is inside me.
Yeah.
So that's why Brilliant. I know that, last year was really about health, getting my health back.
Yeah.
Get my health in a really great place.
Yeah.
So I have a singular focus. Obviously, I have focus on my family, my career, and those sorts of things, but really a singular focus.
That one thing again, yeah.
Which was on my health.
Mm.
And without planning to, that's when, because I felt like I make a real transformation, and I kind of got to the point of writing the book, which just happened naturally one day.
Mm-mm.
And I just thought, all these things I've learned, how good I feel, I'm just going to write down. And it just almost as a memo to myself, and then it started. I just continued writing. It turned into a book.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how those things happen. But when we think about then the future, I think people just need to go in a direction and choose a direction.
Yeah.
And then go, right, what am I going to enjoy?
What do you want? What is it you really, really want? Let's go there from today. Like, because isn't the moment, like today, creating the future, right? So if we want to think about what's 5 years going to look like, we'll just kind of look at how you're thinking and what you're doing today.
Yeah.
Because the moment is creating the future. And of course, look, let's get excited about the future. Otherwise, we're just going to dread it, right? And I think we get more excited about it when we've got the vision. This is what I want. This is what we want. This is what we're going towards. It's going to be different, and vision never needs to be complete. I believe, I think it just needs tapping into regularly, because who knows, like you said, who knows what's going to happen? Anything, so much out of our control. Yeah. Really cool. I'm loving this conversation.
Thank you so much for being here today. I wish we could talk for way longer.
Yeah.
Come back again.
Yeah.
So
Thank
Jason,
you so much.
Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise.
If someone wants to find out more about you, where can they go? Where can they find out?
Yeah, website.
How to work with you.
jasonpooley.com. You can find out a lot on my website and LinkedIn. So Jason Pooley. I do a lot of my kind of sharing content on LinkedIn. yeah, and socials, Instagram, Jason Pooley, but yeah, you can find me kind of in those places. But yeah, if anyone's interested in kind of exploring what their one great life looks like, then I'm happy to support that.
And I fully recommend it.
You're in it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time, Jason.
Yeah,
Appreciate
cheers.
it.
Thank you.